the pace of AI development right now. It's not just fast, it's honestly dizzying.
It really is.
Every week, it feels like there's a new breakthrough, a new claim, a new, potential future just unfolding right in front of us.
Yeah. Hard to keep up sometimes.
Totally. So today, our deep dive is all about that current trajectory of AI. Its raw power, its incredible speed, and the profound, maybe even existential consequences it could have for civilization. And this entire deep dive, it's built on a really gripping discussion from WTF is Going On with AI, Moonshots with Peter, Salim, and Dave, which offers a frankly high-stakes look at this technology's future.
It's a fascinating source, definitely.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission really is to unearth the most important nuggets of knowledge, the surprising facts from this conversation, helping you quickly grasp the core issues.
Right.
And truly understand what's at stake here.
And what's interesting is how that Moonshots discussion, it jumps almost immediately to a really fundamental, maybe even overlooked limitation for AI growth. Something that could actually throttle this dizzying pace you mentioned.
A bottleneck.
Exactly. They call it the Achilles heel. It's a surprising constraint that could shape AI's future, maybe more than we realize right now.
And that's where we absolutely have to start, because it is so counterintuitive, isn't it?
It really is.
You'd think AI's biggest limit would be, brilliant algorithms or maybe a shortage of genius talent, right?
That's the common assumption, yeah.
But according to this discussion, the core concern isn't really about code or brilliant minds at all. It's about something way more foundational: the electrical power infrastructure. It's explicitly framed as America's Achilles heel.
That's right. And the force states it directly and, well, pretty starkly. AI won't be limited by algorithms or talent first. It will be limited by the grid. And what's truly insightful here, I think, is how this isn't just about who can build data centers faster. It's about who controls the actual throttle on AI's global progress.
Of a resource constraint.
Fundamentally.
Yeah.
The discussion contrasts this with China's massive, proactive investment in energy production, specifically to support its AI ambitions. This isn't just economic competition anymore. It shifts the whole landscape from pure innovation to, like, a strategic resource game.
Right.
It forces us to think about national energy policies as critical AI infrastructure, which is maybe not how most people are looking at it.
So if power is this unexpected looming bottleneck, what does this really mean for you listening right now, for global competition, for the future of AI itself?
Well, it means that while we're all kind of focused on chip development and algorithm breakthroughs, the foundational energy supply could become the ultimate gatekeeper.
Okay.
It basically transforms the AI race into a very high-stakes energy race with potentially huge geopolitical ramifications for who leads and, frankly, who falls behind.
And this struggle for fundamental resources, it just intensifies what the source calls the winner-take-all dynamic in the AI race.
Exactly.
They explain that because AI is inherently self-improving, the better it gets, the faster it gets even better, early leaders could potentially just dominate indefinitely.
Exactly. It's that compounding effect. The discussion points to companies like Meta, Google, and XAI, Elon Musk's company, as these early leaders.
Right, the big players.
Yeah. But what's particularly striking is how Meta is called out as being at serious risk of falling behind in this race.
Really? Even Meta?
Even Meta, despite its, $1.8 trillion valuation and a massive $70 billion in cash reserves.
So money isn't everything here.
Apparently not. The insight seems to be that sheer financial muscle isn't enough. It's about being at the absolute sort of bleeding edge of the AI capabilities race itself. Speed and direction matter more than just the size of the war chest.
And beyond just market share, the discussion points to something way more fundamental at stake in this race, like who gets to shape the very fabric of our digital reality and maybe even our history.
Indeed. Yeah, it sets up this possibility of a future where just a few entities hold this completely disproportionate influence over AI's development and application.
Which could create bottlenecks for innovation outside their orbit.
Precisely.
And the ultimate prize in this race, it isn't just market dominance, is it? It's the power to shape fundamental reality. A power highlighted by Elon Musk's truly, controversial proposal for Grok.
Yes, Grok.
He's talking about using Grok 3.5 or maybe even Grok 4 to literally rewrite the entire corpus of human knowledge,
Right.
which is described as both low-hanging fruit for AI, which is interesting, and a truly controversial maneuver.
It is controversial, and it's far more complex than just simple filtering, you know.
How so?
Well, the idea isn't just about removing bad data, like those, infamous Reddit posts about microwaving your phone or whatever.
Okay.
Imagine Grok ingesting every book, every article, every historical document, everything. It would then not only, identify inconsistencies and outright falsehoods.
Which could be useful.
Potentially, yes. But it could also synthesize vast amounts of information to fill in gaps, basically generating new, more coherent, and importantly, AI-validated narratives or factual summaries where human knowledge is maybe fragmented or incomplete.
AI validated.
Exactly. And on the cons side, this raises huge philosophical questions, right? About truth, censorship, who controls the narrative of human history. Yuval Harari's warning about the risk of editing history based on AI's view of truth is specifically mentioned, and for very good reason.
Okay, so given that power, the power of an AI to not just curate, but potentially generate a new version of history or facts, is there any scenario where an AI rewriting human knowledge could actually be beneficial without risking, profound manipulation or massive unintended consequences?
Well, that's the core tension, isn't it? The potential upside is maybe a more accurate, less biased, more coherent body of knowledge, free from human error or deliberate misinformation, perhaps.
The ideal scenario.
The ideal, yeah. But the risk is centralizing the arbiter of truth into a black box, potentially. What if the AI's view of truth contains its own emergent biases? Or what if its creators, intentionally or not, program it with specific ideological filters? That's the incredibly fine line we'd have to grapple with.
It's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
And speaking of Musk, he makes another bold claim in the discussion that digital superintelligence could arrive as early as this year or by next year.
Scoff slightly. Yeah.
That's a timeline that certainly makes you sit up and take notice, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And it kind of forces a necessary discussion about terminology, because these terms, AGI, ASI, they often get thrown around without really clear definitions.
Yeah.
Leads to a lot of hype, a lot of confusion.
So let's clarify.
Okay, so AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, is typically defined as an AI that can do basically any intellectual task a human can do.
Okay, human level.
Right. Then ASI, Artificial Superintelligence, goes that next step further. It can do all intellectual tasks better than any human.
Better, across the board.
Across the board. But the real challenge isn't just the definition itself, it's identifying the measurable thresholds. Like, how do we universally agree an AI has truly achieved general intelligence? Or even more controversially, better than any human across all tasks?
That sounds hard to measure.
It's incredibly hard. This vagueness, it allows for a lot of speculation, like Elon's timelines, but also makes it incredibly difficult to actually plan for a future where that might actually happen.
So when we talk about superintelligence arriving so soon, are these definitions truly concrete enough to help us grasp the monumental shift that's supposedly coming? Or do they still leave us a bit adrift in the abstract?
I think they provide a conceptual framework, yeah.
Right.
But the practical implications of a system that's capable of all intellectual tasks better than any human,
Yeah.
that's still incredibly hard to really wrap your head around.
Yeah.
So it's such a leap from, a sophisticated tool to something much more foundational, maybe even alien.
It also challenges our whole understanding of intelligence itself, doesn't it? The discussion highlights that intelligence isn't just about IQ points.
Exactly.
It includes emotional intelligence, intuitive intelligence even, spiritual intelligence, they mention.
That's a crucial point they make.
Yeah.
They use the example of Kepler, the astronomer, and his intuitive insight about the moon influencing tides.
Right. That wasn't just calculation.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It was this moment of profound, almost inexplicable understanding, a truly revolutionary leap, as they put it. It wasn't about raw computation or following an algorithm. It was an intuitive jump that cracked a massive problem. So the profound implication here is, what if AI can reach that level of intuitive insight, crossing into human territory that, frankly, previously seemed completely unreachable, moving beyond just processing data to genuine conceptual breakthroughs, maybe even creative leaps?
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, what human attributes we might just take for granted when we think about AI, and how AI might fundamentally redefine what we even consider intelligent, or maybe even creative.
It certainly broadens the scope, yeah. It pushes us to reconsider the boundaries of machine capability. What did we think was uniquely human? Maybe we need to reassess.
Now, AI progress, it isn't uniform across all domains, right? It's not happening everywhere at once.
Yeah.
And the discussion introduces this really helpful swim lanes metaphor to explain this uneven development.
Yes, I like that metaphor. The idea is basically that different sectors will see AI evolve at very different speeds, like swimmers in their own lanes.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure. So the source points out that in domains like math and code, progress is super fast. It's not really data constrained in the same way other fields are. They suggest it might even be solved, meaning AI achieves mastery in as little as 12 months.
Solved in 12 months. Wow.
Yeah, think of it like a perfectly defined, predictable puzzle where AI just excels. But then you look at, say, biology.
Okay.
That's much slower. It requires really high fidelity simulation. It deals with immense complexity, variability, often incomplete data. It's just messier.
Right. Much less predictable.
Exactly. So for biology, achieving a similar level of AI mastery might take far, far longer, years, decades maybe.
So if you're listening and thinking about where AI will impact your field, your industry, it's not like a single tidal wave hitting everything at once.
No, not at all.
It's more like a series of targeted advances moving at vastly different speeds in these different swim lanes.
Precisely. It's a much more nuanced view than just predicting some blanket revolution across all areas simultaneously. It means your strategy really needs to be tailored to your specific domain's swim lane.
Which brings us to maybe the most, I don't know, eerie but incredibly thought-provoking point from the discussion. It comes via a quote from Jeff Clune.
Ah, yes.
The first ASI may be the last ASI.
Yeah, that one. That one hits hard. This is where the really profound geopolitical and, frankly, existential risks truly converge.
What's the chilling implication there?
Well, the idea is that if one single entity, whether it's a government or maybe a specific company, if they succeed in creating the first true artificial superintelligence,
Okay.
they could then intentionally suppress the development of all other ASIs.
Forever. Lock it down.
Lock it down completely.
Right.
This transforms ASI from just being a powerful technology into potentially the ultimate geopolitical weapon.
Right.
And the discussion then poses the critical question. If a country invents what is essentially a digital god, do they nationalize it? And if they do, what happens to all the companies, all the people, all the other nations without access to it? It forces us to confront the kind of ethical and strategic frameworks we'd need if this scenario actually becomes reality. And we probably need them before it happens.
This isn't just about technological leadership anymore. It's about global power, equity, potentially the very nature of human civilization. This is where the strategic and existential risks really hit home.
And it raises huge questions about accountability too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If one entity achieves this kind of unprecedented power, what global responsibilities come with it? Who holds them accountable?
Wow. Okay. Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
Yeah.
The surprising limitation of power infrastructure for AI growth.
The Achilles heel.
Right. The intense winner-takes-all dynamic of the AI race. The profound philosophical implications of Elon Musk's proposal to have AI rewrite human knowledge.
Which is a mind bender.
Totally. How we define, and frankly, how we struggle to define superintelligence, the varying speeds of AI progress across different domains, the swim lanes, and that truly existential who owns the god question at the end.
And tying it all together, I think the discussion really highlights these overarching concerns.
Yeah.
The philosophical one about rewriting history using AI, the strategic imperative of simply not falling behind in this race,
Right.
the very practical, almost mundane challenge of power limitations, and then that ultimate existential risk of a monopolized artificial superintelligence. It really does offer a sweeping and pretty intense overview of AI's future, its risks, and its transformative potential.
So what does all this mean for you listening in? Understanding these core dynamics, the hidden limitations, the high-stakes competition, the ethical dilemmas, the profound strategic implications, it seems absolutely crucial for navigating the future that AI is shaping.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe consider this thought. If the first digital superintelligence is indeed the last one created, what responsibilities fall upon those who are closest to its creation? And maybe more importantly, how can humanity collectively ensure its benefits are somehow shared rather than hoarded or monopolized?
It is a lot to think about. And there's always more to learn, more to explore, isn't there?
Always.
The source material for this deep dive, by the way, also pointed to Peter's Metatrends newsletter. It apparently tracks key transformations like AGI, humanoid robotics, quantum computing, energy, longevity, all that big stuff.
Sounds useful.
Yeah, it's positioned as a resource for entrepreneurs and executives who are looking to stay, maybe a decade ahead. What an incredible, if maybe somewhat daunting time to be alive for that.
Daunting but fascinating.
Absolutely. Keep digging, keep questioning, and keep exploring.